Welcome to India Business Insights. Today we will be discussing on the new labor codes in India. India's labor laws have undergone a significant change with the introduction of new labor codes. These codes have been in the making for a while now and are aimed at simplifying the complex labor laws that have been in place for decades. So let's dive into the details and find out what these new labor codes mean for employees and employers in India. Before we dig deeper into this, like, share and subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the notification bell for the latest updates. The new labor codes in India aim to consolidate and simplify the existing labor laws and regulations and provide better protection to workers. The core of the new labor codes can be summarized as follows. Consolidation. The new labor codes consolidate and streamline the existing labor laws, which were fragmented and often confusing for employers and employees alike. Universalization. The new codes aim to extend labor protections to all workers, including those in the unorganized sector who were previously not covered by labor laws. Simplification. The new codes simplify the compliance requirements for employers, making it easier for them to understand and follow the labor laws. Flexibility. The new codes provide greater flexibility to employers in terms of hiring and firing workers, while also ensuring that workers' rights are protected. Social security. The new codes provide for the creation of social security funds, which will provide benefits such as pensions, maternity benefits, and life insurance to workers. Industrial relations. The new codes provide a framework for industrial relations, including provisions for collective bargaining and dispute resolution. Overall, the core of the new labor codes in India is to create a more modern and streamlined labor law system that provides better protections and benefits to workers, while also ensuring that employers have the flexibility they need to run their businesses. So what are these new labor codes and what do they mean for the Indian workforce? The new codes have been introduced to address the concerns of both the employers and the employees by bringing more flexibility and transparency into the system. The new labor codes are a set of 4 codes that replace the existing labor laws in India. These codes are the Code on Wages, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code, the Industrial Relations Code, and the Code on Social Security. Details of acts which are being subsumed by the 4 labor codes are Code on Wages 2019, which replaced 4 acts that includes Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, etc. Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, which replaced 12 acts that includes Factories Act 1948, Mines Act 1952, BD and Cigar Workers Conditions of Employment Act 1966, etc. Industrial Relations Code 2020, which replaced 3 acts that includes Trade Unions Act 1926, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946, and Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Code on Social Security 2020, that replaced 9 acts which includes Employees Provident Funds and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Employees Compensation Act 1923, etc. Each of these codes addresses a different aspect of labor laws and aims to simplify and streamline the existing laws to make it easier for employers to comply with them. Let's further discuss these codes. Code on Wages. The Code on Wages replaces 4 existing laws related to minimum wages, payment of wages, payment of bonus, and equal remuneration. It aims to streamline the payment of wages and bring more transparency and accountability to the system, and also simplifies the calculation of minimum wages by fixing the criteria for determining minimum wages. It also introduces a concept of a floor wage, which is the minimum wage that an employer must pay regardless of the industry or the skill level of the employee. The Code on Wages is applicable to all businesses and workers in both organized and unorganized industries, that is, both government employees and domestic workers. In all employment settings where any industry, commerce, trade, or manufacture is conducted, this labor code intends for the provisions of timely payment of wages and minimum wages to all employees, as well as bonus payments to apply uniformly. Under no circumstances may the state government set a minimum wage that is less than the floor rate established by the central government. The minimum wages decided by the centre or state governments should be above the floor wages. In case the existing minimum wages are higher than the floor wages, the central or state governments cannot reduce the minimum wages. While fixing the minimum wages, the government should take into account the difficulty level of the work and the workers' skill levels also. The code prohibits gender discrimination in wages and recruitment of people for the same work or work of similar nature. Work of a similar nature is defined as work for which the skill, effort, experience, and responsibility required are the same. Wages include salary allowance or any other monetary component. It does not include bonuses and travelling allowances. The central or state governments will determine the number of working hours. The employee is entitled to overtime pay for overtime labour, which must be at least twice the standard wage. The wage period can be set by the employer to be daily, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. In order to fix the minimum wage and increase the employment chances for women, advisory boards will be established. The maximum punishment for violations of the code's provisions, such as paying less than the minimum wage, is 3 months in jail and a fine of rupees 1 lakh according to the code. Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. The Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code aims to ensure the safety and well-being of workers in hazardous work environments. It aims to provide a safe and healthy working environment for employees and introduces several new provisions such as the provision of a creche for women employees and the right to work from home. It sets the standards for workplace safety and health and includes provisions for the welfare of workers in the unorganized sector. It amalgamates 13 existing labor laws into the labor code and applies to factories having at least 20 workers if the manufacturing process is being carried on with the aid of power and 40 if the manufacturing process is being done without power. Under this code, employers are required to ensure that the workplace is free from hazards which cause injury or occupational disease to the employees and provide free annual health examinations or tests free of cost to certain classes of employees. The code defines an interstate migrant worker as someone who has come on his or her own from one state and received employment in another state and earns up to Rs 18,000 per month. Portability benefits for interstate migrant workers. They can avail of benefits in the destination state as regards ration and benefits of building and other construction worker cess. The code also proposes a journey allowance. This is a lump sum fair amount to be paid by the employer for the journey of the worker from his or her native state to the place of employment. To encourage formalization in employment, a legal right for getting an appointment letter given to workers for the first time is covered. Cine workers have been designated as audiovisual workers so that more and more workers get covered under the OSH code. Earlier, this security was being given to artists working in films only. The code removes the manpower limit on hazardous working conditions and makes the application of the code obligatory for contractors recruiting 50 or more workers. Earlier, it was 20. The code fixes the daily work hour limit to a maximum of 8 hours. The code also empowers women to be employed in all kinds of establishments and at night between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. subject to their consent and safety. Industrial Relations Code. The Industrial Relations Code aims to consolidate the laws related to industrial relations in India. It introduces several new provisions such as the right of workers to strike only after giving a 14-day notice to the employer, the establishment of a reskilling fund for workers, and the formation of a 2-member tribunal to address disputes between employers and employees. This code aims to simplify the process of resolving disputes between employers and employees by introducing a one-stop shop system for labor disputes. This labor code combines three previous laws and broadens the definition of a worker to encompass anyone who are employed in manual, technical, operational, or clerical jobs, whether they are skilled or unskilled. Additionally, individuals working in managerial positions and making less than 18,000 rupees per month have been included in the criteria. The code adds a new clause for fixed term employment that allows employers the freedom to hire someone based on a signed contract. Employees on a fixed term contract will receive the same perks as permanent workers. The threshold for a business to have standing orders has been increased to 300 employees. The government claims that the higher barrier will increase employment since it will make hiring and firing employees easier and more flexible. The new code also suggests creating a fund for retraining laid off employees with an employer contribution equal to the worker's most recent 15 days of pay. A compulsory facility for the helpline for the redressal of problems of migrant workers is one of the government's efforts to swiftly address workers' complaints, creating a database of migrant workers at the national level. When working for 180 days as opposed to 240 days, there is a provision for the accumulation of 1 day of leave for every 20 days worked. Equality for women in all spheres. Women must be allowed to work at night in any industry, but it must be ensured that the employer has made provisions for their security and that they have given their agreement before working at night. A minimum 50% share of the fine would be paid in the event that a worker lost his life or was hurt in an accident at work. In addition to the employee's compensation, this sum would be paid. The Code on Social Security. The Code on Social Security consolidates the laws related to Social Security in India. It aims to provide Social Security benefits to all employees, including those in the unorganized sector. It introduces several new provisions such as the creation of a national database of unorganized sector workers and the establishment of a Social Security fund for gig workers. The Code on Social Security tries to merge 8 different labor laws into a unified code. It also includes provisions for gig workers and platform workers. The definition of employees has been widened to include interstate migrant workers, construction workers, film industry workers, and platform workers/gig workers. Self-employed professionals are defined as having a primary income from independent client-based work. Members of the gig economy, on the other hand, work side gig such as rideshare driving or freelance writing in addition to maintaining a traditional full-time job. This code subsumes 8 laws and empowers the center to notify various social security schemes like the Employees Provident Fund (EPF), Employee Pension Scheme (EPS), and Employees State Insurance (ESI) for the benefit of workers in all sectors. The facility of Employees State Insurance Corporation (ESIC) would now be provided in all 740 districts. At present, this facility is being given in 566 districts only. EPFO's coverage would be applicable to all establishments having 20 workers. At present, it was applicable only to establishments included in the schedule. Under this legislation, employers with more than 20 employees are required to post open positions online. The code has a clause that allows for the establishment of a social security fund for unorganized sector employees. It also suggests creating a national social security board to advise the federal government on the creation of programs for the various categories of gig, platform, and unorganized employees. There is no requirement for a minimum service duration for the gratuity provision that has been provided for fixed term employees. The working journalist's gratuity period has been shortened from 5 years to 3. All of these workers would be registered on an internet portal using a straightforward process based on self-certification with the goal of creating a national database for unorganized sector workers. What does it mean for the employees? The new labor codes aim to provide greater protection and benefits to employees in India. They introduce several new provisions such as the right to work from home, the provision of a creche for women employees, and the establishment of a reskilling fund for workers. Regarding the workers, The advantages listed under each of the aforementioned labor codes are obvious and plain to observe. All things considered, they are now gaining access to social security benefits like everyone else. They have consistently received the raw deal. Their life, dignity, and well being could all be enhanced by the new employment laws. The government has ensured that workers' economic welfare is safeguarded and improved by permitting insurance coverage for them. Another negative effect is the administration of benefits for contract employees. The streamlining of the gig economy might be possible by treating freelance workers on par with full time employees. This action may eventually persuade additional employees to join the gig economy and increase their earning potential. The new labor codes don't only tend to frontline workers but also to enterprises, industries, and sectors. Infinite possibilities, unlimited potential, that's what the new labor codes promise. It remains to be seen how this monumental move affects frontline workers, employers, and their relationship. Only time and results will tell. What does it mean for the employers? The new labor codes aim to simplify and streamline the existing labor laws in India, making it easier for employers to comply with them. However, they also introduce several new provisions that employers need to be aware of, such as the right of workers to strike after giving a 14-day notice and the creation of a social security fund for gig workers. For employers, the amalgamation of pre-existing codes could give some structure and shape to the unorganized frontline workforce. Let's not forget that one of the reasons behind the introduction of new codes is the removal of multiplicity, that is, the pre-existing labor laws before the monumental step were unorganized and confusing. Now it's structured. The same can happen for the frontline workforce once they're implemented. At least this is a really good start for now. Speaking of structure, the centralized, platform-based national database of workers where employers have to compulsorily report job vacancies online and register employees through a portal can remedy many complications associated with frontline workforce management. Employers can access a vast talent pool of qualified candidates by using the platform-based strategy and centralized database, for example. Bringing everything together under one roof is the plan. The idea to centralize data and enroll workers through a platform or portal also seems promising. There is room for further optimization that can result in increased efficiency. If synergies with IT firms and startups can be created, the central talent pool can be optimized. The talent pool can be enriched via a seamless cross-integration between the database and tech platforms, such as the integration of an external skilling platform with the talent repository. By doing this, employees can acquire crucial skills that will advance their careers and make it easier for them to get employment. On the other side, businesses may obtain pre-skilled labor, save money on upskilling and training, and start operating right away. In conclusion, the new labor codes in India aim to provide greater protection and benefits to employees while simplifying and streamlining the existing labor laws for employers. These new labor codes are a step in the right direction towards ensuring better working conditions and social security for the Indian workforce. However, it is important to ensure that these codes are implemented effectively and that the rights of both employers and employees are protected. The new guidelines seek to strike a compromise between employee welfare and the simplicity of conducting business in India. However, the changeover to the new system necessitates a thorough comprehension of the relevant laws and their ramifications. The government must think about adopting the new employment rules gradually in light of the ramifications of doing so, because the variance will rely on the current remuneration and organizational structure of the relevant business or establishment. The effects of the new labor regulations on implementation will differ from one industry or employer to another. Every law has to aim to maintain the best possible balance between competing interests and should try to give as much comfort to the weaker of the two sides as much as possible in the larger interest of our nation. Ultimately, these laws will be as good as their implementation, mere letters of law have no meaning. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our content and press the notification bell for the latest updates.